Hello, and welcome to the Rojan Kimcast. It's me, Rojan Kim. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is Friday, 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 Friday. Partying, partying, yeah. Remember that, guys? It's part of the tales we'll tell the long ago, the old days when we could go out and be closer than 6 feet apart and not kill our grandmas and grandpas while we do it. All right, guys, I'm sure things will be fine. Sure, one day. I mean, it'll be months, but life's not over. It ain't fucking 12 monkeys. We don't all need to go underground. It's not fucking the end of the world. It's all gonna be fine, guys. Okay. Anyways, thank you for joining me. This is episode 142. I'm gonna call it the Red Queen of Corona. The reason I'm gonna call it that will be very evident soon. This is the second part of the conflict series. Like, what am I fucking Dan Carlin? Like doing hardcore history here. I mean, like, okay, I don't put in nearly the amount of work probably as a person should to try to inform people. But honestly, I'm not. That's not my job. I'm a clown. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy who has silly opinions, who wants to make people laugh, but also is, I guess, maybe obsessed, or I just can't help it. I just have to say things sometimes that I see which get me into trouble. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be really easy if I was just a straight up Democrat. I'm just like, what? Yeah, I hate Trump, blah, blah, blah. Or a straight up Republican. I'm just on a team. If I was just on a team, things would be easier. You know? You really don't make any friends when you criticize both sides. You know what I mean? This is why Socrates died. You understand? This is why he had to die. Because he couldn't just be like, yes or no, pick a side. He had to fucking piss everybody off with his smart mouth. And that's what I'm doing with my smart mouth, with my heavily accented smart mouth. My heavily Asian accented smart mouth. Can you understand what I'm saying? Here we go. Here's a little recap of the last episode. Last episode, I was talking about conflict on the macro level during this crisis, right? How the conflict with that as well is that, you know, people get caught up in their tribes. Like I was just saying, if I was a part of the red team or the blue team, things would be easier because I could just grab onto the team and be like, I'm with the team before all. I could have something to grab onto. Just like Jesus, just like I've been saying, people are going to turn to religion, right? You need Jesus, people. Some people need something to hold on to in this crazy, chaotic, uncertain universe. You know what I'm saying? This is a universe composed of both randomness and meaning, and we're trying to figure our way through it. So, anyways, listen. Here's the whole thing about the conflict that's going on, like, say, in Washington, between Republicans and Democrats. It's all bullshit, guys. Don't fall for the okey doke. You understand? Don't fall for the okey doke. There was a news story that just came out that said there are 4 senators, right, who are suspected of insider trading after a coronavirus briefing, right? So instead of doing whatever they could to alert the public, they decided to go and make a dime, make a sweet stand why there isn't an uproar. Um, there was a possible pandemic coming out of Wuhan, right? That was spreading. That China was shutting down manufacturing for this reason, something they've never done before. That it's coming, totally ignored. Here's another thing that was ignored. Taiwan, there's a news story in the Taipei Times about how Taiwan tried to alert the WHO in late December that the coronavirus is transmitted human to human. Right? Back then they didn't know if it was human to human. Taiwan was already like, dude, we got the data. Try to give it to the WHO. Guess what happened? The WHO just fucking kicked them to the curb. You know why? China. Okay? That's why. Because China has a lot of clout in the WHO, and Taiwan is not considered a real country to China. So that means their data is not real data, and their science will not save real lives. And so I don't know. Plenty of blame to go around is all I'm saying. I'm not saying Trump. I'm not trying to defend Trump. Fuck Trump. That's what I'm saying. Trump's at fault. Okay, fuck him. CCP's at fault. Fuck them. All right. Fucking Congress. Fuck them. Fuck them all is what I'm saying. This is not the time to play these stupid politicking games and join a side. And I'm on the blue team and I'm on the red team. Like that fucking matters. Like this is a goddamn war. All right, this is a goddamn war between life and death, between us and a virus. All right, there's no. This is when we're supposed to unite. Remember how there's always the stories of like, ooh, if aliens came. You know, that's the story of the fucking Watchmen, right? If aliens came, we would all unite under the common threat. Well, we got a fucking common threat right now, and what are we doing? We're just fucking dicking around, acting like it's important that, oh, like, I hate Trump. Like, that's actually more important than the potential millions of dead that are going to. Why is that? It's just like the whole look. I get the whole racism thing. I get the whole anti-Asian. It's not good. Trust me, I've had shit thrown at me. You know what I'm saying? Not lately, but you know. But I'm just saying, like in growing up, I've been the target of anti-Asian racism. Been the target of plenty of it. Okay, but look, I saw a report that says there was 650 incidents of racism, not deaths or beatings, but just things, people saying things, and then it was reported. So 650 incidents. It's not a good thing. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying the president should have probably been more nuanced and careful in his language, but I'm also saying maybe the news shouldn't have ran with that narrative and instead try to provide the nuance that was missing from our leadership. Perhaps the media, instead of whipping everybody up into a frenzy and using fear to sell, right? If it bleeds, it leads, and if it's racist, it pays us, right? That's the fucking news, right? Who's the fucking editor of the news right now? The Scarecrow, right? It's like, I need fear. I need fear. I need division. I need Democrats versus Republicans. I need racism. I need scary graphs. You know, like, what the fuck is going You know, it's just like, have you just given up all your responsibilities now, media? Is that you just don't care? You don't give a fuck about us. All right, anyways. God damn it, I did it again. Last time I was trying not to rant and rave about this shit and like fucking 8 minutes in. All right, so, anyways. That was the macro recap of my thoughts on the political conflict going on right now. It's stupid. All right. So now let's go to the micro. Going to the micro, obviously, clearly we're in the middle of a pandemic. There is a microbial threat. Like I just said, it's a war. Like we're at war, okay? I mean, it's. I know it's like, am I silly? I don't know. It's kind of war when the outcome is death. Death for many. Maybe not for me. Maybe not for you, my sweet millennial viewers and listeners. Maybe not, but for Paps and Nans, for Pop and Meemaws, for Gams and fucking Zetas and Zadies and Bubbies. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking for the fucking old for the greatest generation, for the boomers who frankly maybe they deserve it. But come on, we gotta be better than them. Plus, if they die, get their dough. And I'm saying that's what we should do. I'm also saying there's plenty of psychopaths out there counting up fucking Grammy and Grampy's fucking net worth. You know what I'm saying? Fucking got dollar signs in their eyes and being like, oh no, I'll come visit you. The quarantine is bullshit. It's just the flu. I'll come visit you. Anyways, the micro. Let's go. We are going from the macro. Let's shrink us down to the micro. Just like Inner Space. Remember? Martin Short and then fucking Bill Paxton got into a spaceship and they shrunk him down and injected him. And there's a Rick and Morty about it too. If you need a more recent reference, probably Inner Space. I mean, come on. Who's that? What are you guys out there, fucking 40? Like me? No. Hey, he's gonna be more hip. I gotta use that TikTok. I gotta dab and stuff, you know? I'll be dabbing. You'll be catching me dabbing on TikTok in about 2 weeks, guys. I'm about 2 weeks away from jumping on the TikTok and doing the fucking Switch memes and whatever the fuck, Drake songs. I don't know, listening. I don't know what they're doing. I'm out of touch, okay? I'm a middle-aged man yelling into the ether, into the microphone. Nobody's really listening, but this is what it is. So, you guys ever hear of the book Guns, Germs, and Steel? It's a book from Jared Diamond. And the thesis of the book is essentially that, look, people think, or used to think, that the reason why the Europeans were so successful in colonizing everybody and conquering everybody and all that stuff was because of something inherently special to the Europeans. Remember I talked about the fundamental attribution error last time. This is a tendency to equate behavior with sort of immutable characteristic, right? So for the Europeans, for the longest time, it was like, well, the Europeans are superior, right? White superiority is what justified colonialism. Also, through that superiority, there is the idea of benevolence, right? So we're coming, we're giving you civilization, you poor fucks. You're godless heathens, anyways. You'd be going to hell. So fuck it. We're saving you. Enslaving you is saving you. You know, and that was sort of the pitch. And you know, over time, you know, we were the people who were like, all right, that's come on, that can't be true. But then, what is true? Why? So this guy Jared Diamond wrote a book, and his claim is that it's because of three things: guns, germs, and steel. Right? Europeans managed to, you know, take the Chinese European Europeans stole Chinese gunpowder and then improved upon it, made it better, made it faster, made it more deadly, right? And that's what they did. Just like we're accusing the Chinese of doing now, stealing our technology, making it better, faster. It's basically what white people did with their technology, right? So that's what we got. We got the guns. Yeah, the steel makes sense. You know, you show up in places with steel, they don't have steel. They got iron even. They're fucked. Makes sense. Somehow, you know, steel production also happened to be on this sort of like, well, that same band affecting, even though it's kind of switching to the southern hemisphere now, but overall it's mostly affecting this sort of northern latitude band. It's the same band that allowed for climate, that allowed for the type of travel, the type of mining, the type of animal domestication that led to the third advantage of the Europe. The Chinese have lots of germs, and I'll tell you, you know, a lot of that has to do with animal domestication and population density. The Europeans, the Chinese, the Europeans, and the Africans are dirty, the dirtiest of the old world. Meaning, you know, they were sufficiently immune to pathogens that they could spread to each other because of the density and the animal domestication. Meanwhile, Native Americans, on the other hand, were very clean, or you know, far apart, less dense. Nothing like sheep and pigs and things like that that generate viruses that could jump into humans and back and forth. You know, so no natural immunity. That's why you have things like when Cortez was conquering Mexico within 1 year. I think Cortez had something like 500 conquistadors versus 1 million Aztecs. Seriously, 1 million Aztecs a year. To me, is fascinating is this idea of domestication of animals and population density being prime factors in the virulence and the immunity of the Europeans, you know, against germs, you know, viruses or whatever that smallpox, all the shit that they spread, right? They didn't even know they were spreading it. You know, they literally thought God was on their side, and in some ways, he was. Yeah, in some ways he was. So now let's move on to the Red Queen hypothesis. What is that? Why do I keep talking about this Red Queen? What is the Red Queen? The Red Queen hypothesis. God damn it! I forgot the name of the guy. You please Google the guy of the name. Came up with it. It was some guy in the 70s. It's the Red Queen hypothesis. Is a paradigm for evolution that was hypothesized, and it was taken from the Red Queen in Alice in Wonderland. You remember the Red Queen? Off with her head! You know, remember that? And here is the quote from the Red Queen. Now here you see it. Why do I? No, okay. First, let me just read it like a normal. Let me read it like a normal person so I can actually read it right. Now, here, you see it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. Right? That's what. Now, here, you can see it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. So what does that mean? It's like you gotta run and run in order to stay in the same place. What happens if you don't run? You sink, right? You sink, or you don't stay in the same place. You die, essentially. So the Red Queen hypothesis is a version of the theory of evolution that states that conflict is what drives evolution and adaptation, right? That essentially what all life is a form of warfare, biological warfare that's been going on, right? And the necessity for more adaptations, whether it is for the environment or viruses or whatever. You know, that's necessary. That struggle is necessary in order for life to continue. Otherwise, on a long enough timeline, for every species, the outcome is extinction. Pretty much. There's no real. I mean, the only species, I don't know. I don't know what's alive now that's been alive since way back then. Probably germs. I mean, honestly, they're probably the most successful of the life forms that we have, right? They made it this far. Part of their running in place is a really good strategy of instead of having one multicellular unique organism, you just have billions of them, and then you spread and spread and you spread exponentially. It's a pretty good strategy, right? So, see, there you go. That's the Red Queen hypothesis that conflict drives evolution, conflict drives life, that all of life, in fact, is a struggle between these forces. And that's what I think about viruses and life. I mean, this is not my theory, but I'm taking this Red Queen hypothesis and kind of postulating, I'm not a fucking scientist, I'm just speaking out of my ass, but I'm just saying, I trip on viruses and life all the time. The thing about viruses is that they're very simple organisms, right? But possibly not organisms. Jury's not out. Because a lot of people feel that in order to be qualified as life, you actually have to be self-sufficient in moving. Viruses they're not moving. They're just particles. But once the particles glom onto the right cell, a lot of crazy shit goes down. You know what I'm saying? They have the ability to infect the cell, inject a piece of their genetic code, the RNA, into your cell. That RNA hacks into the DNA, changes it, morphs it so that the cell, instead of doing its normal cell functions, just starts making more viruses. And then the cell fills up with viruses and then explodes. And then there's fucking, I don't know, let's just say, just for shits and giggles, 10 viruses come out of that, right? Well, each of those 10 viruses now gets to go hit cells on their own, and each of those 10 are going to hit another 10, so that's 100. And then actually, 100 viruses are going to go and hit 100 viruses, and those 100 viruses are going to make 10, so what's 10? That's 1,000, and so on and so on. You get it. You get what I'm saying, right? Exponential growth. That's what happens, right? Great strategy. So the thing is, there is, viruses need DNA, like I just said. Viruses need DNA in order to replicate. So essentially, they're just like hunting and killing DNA. They don't need DNA to eat, you see, and honestly, they don't want DNA to die. The best thing for a virus is to not kill its host, right? It can't spread. You kill your host, the fucking host dies, and the virus, there's nowhere for the virus to go. So the best thing is to come up with something kind of like the coronavirus, where you have a high R naught. That's what they call it, R naught or R0 rate, which is the rate of infection, right? Fucking for coronavirus is like 2.5 or something, was super high. That means one person can infect like 3 people. Yippee, right? It's very successful. Very successful. The only problem is it's still fucking up a lot of people. It would be very good if this was mild. If it was mild, we would just let this fucker run through. You know what I'm saying? We'd be like, herd immunity. That's what herd immunity. Or even Boris Johnson was talking about herd immunity, and look at him now. He's got it. He got the now, bitch. But you know what? On the other hand, getting it is kind of a status symbol nowadays. Like, if you're rich, you can get tested. That's the whole thing. At least in America, you got the dough. You can test for the row. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically, it's like testing pause is tight. You know what I mean? Being posy is so tight. And then you get all the people on Instagram saying, "Oh, it's so sad you're a posy," and they're like, "Yeah, it's posy life, hashtag posy life, guys." And like, join me live on Instagram while I work through my, the symptoms, and I'll detail what I've been drinking zinc and lemons, and I'm getting better, and like all that stuff. It's great. Otherwise, if you're poor, it's just thank you for your service, and that's it. If you're rich, testing pause is tight. If you're poor, thank you for your service, right? Like, you don't even get tested unless you die. Then I guess we want to know for posterity's sake. We want to know what killed you. Was it the germs? We gotta see. Anyways, RNA versus DNA. So imagine early life. Here's a problem with, say, clones. Here's a problem with clones. Clones, it's replicating DNA, right? Say you have 100 clones. They all have the same DNA. If a virus figures out how to hack that DNA, all 100 of those motherfuckers are fucked. They're all fucked. Fucked. They're all dead. They're all dead because the virus has figured out one law. Divide, combine, divide. You start getting sexual reproduction, right? Sexual reproduction is probably a huge technological breakthrough in order to fight infection, because then you're increasing the variability of the DNA. Now viruses, they can't just unlock one code, they have to unlock a bunch of different codes, right? So then the viruses have to become more complex, right? So the viruses have to be like, okay, we can't just be simple lock and keys. We gotta do something more. We gotta target certain cells, or we gotta target certain code, certain snippets of code instead of the whole code. You know what I mean? So it's basically an arms race. It's been an arms race between viruses and DNA, right? So what does DNA do? It starts becoming multicellular. Let's put more cells together, larger organisms. This whole thing is being driven, right? So you got your fucking just living in life. You got survival. You got the elements. You got predators. You got that pressure. But on top of that, there's also microbial pressure going on the whole time. That's driving this underneath, right? I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's once you understand that they're everywhere, just like we're understanding now with this pandemic, that you are susceptible without immunity. And the thing about this coronavirus is that it's novel. We don't have immunity because it's brand new, right? God damn. There aren't a lot of new things in life. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things are rehashed, fucking reboots. A lot of things are just fucking repeats, remakes. But here we go. We got a virus that's brand new. God damn it. See? Who says the Chinese can't make anything new? Oh, come on. They made fucking silk and gunpowder movable type before white people. Okay? See, like, I know, I shit on the Chinese all the time, but I'm not actually shitting on Chinese people. Okay? I love fucking Chinese people. Chinese people are the shit. Chinese people are the most generous, hardworking people I've ever met. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is a Chinese virus because it's working incredibly hard and outperforming us daily. All right? So there. You fucking racist. See? You fucking racist saying Chinese virus is racist. Maybe it's because you can't think of anything positive to associate with Chinese. You fucks, huh? The Chinese people are fucking amazing. They're fucking heroes in this, okay? Never forget that the people of Wuhan were on the front lines of this goddamn thing. It's the government. It's the CCP. It's the government. It's the government, okay? It's not the people. It's the government. Fuck the government, okay? All right. Sorry. That's all right. RNA versus DNA. That makes sense, though, right? You guys, you understand what I'm saying? It's that life, right? It isn't just the struggle to adapt in the environment. There's also an underlying war going on between the microbes, okay? The microbes, and that drives our own DNA as well. All right? Just getting the immunity, or just even our biological functions, right? This coronavirus will pass through the population over time. How fast or how slow is what we're trying to mitigate, but it's going to be something like 70% of the world's population is going to get infected. Meanwhile, coronavirus's Asian dad is like, why you only infect 70% of the world? That's, okay, and that's a pressure that we all understand as Asians, right? It's fucking, god damn it, fucking coronavirus and Genghis Khan, right? A lot of pressure. Yeah, you fucking, a guy who made it, conquered the entire world by land, right? Fucking never gonna live up to that shit. We got a coronavirus infecting the entire world. Never gonna be able to do that shit, right? There's always gotta be some Asian motherfucker fucking just ruining it for the rest of us, right? Just like Johnny Kim, that goddamn the Navy SEAL who's also an astronaut and a doctor. With the fucking like Ken Jeong wasn't bad enough for a guy to be a doctor and a stand-up comedian. Come on. This is what we're working with here. Meanwhile, Harvard's making it harder for us to get in, okay? And meanwhile, there's Chinese baby slaves making your fucking little phones, and we're yelling about... I'm sorry. That, again. The microbial world. All right. Going back to the microbes. All right. There's been evidence that you've heard of gut flora, right? You've heard of the bacteria in your stomach or in your colon or whatever, that what you're supposed to eat kimchi and what you're supposed to eat sauerkraut and what you're supposed to eat yogurt for to replenish those probiotics. It's a thing. They found evidence that those probiotics actually are associated with cravings. So if you crave sugar, it's because you have a certain type of probiotics in your gut lining that wants the sugar. It needs that food. It's actually sending chemicals, like signals to your brain that's saying, give us a fucking sugar, and then you have the sugar craving, right? That's why people who eat lots of vegetables or whatever, they'll probably crave vegetables overall. When they eat meat, they get sick because the bacteria is missing. The bacteria, they haven't been feeding the meat-eating bacteria for a while, so those guys are gone, right? Then the gut flora is like, what the fuck is this, right? This is it. So the gut flora, they found, actually has something to do, and actually has a relationship with depression. They found that inflammation in the gut and loss of gut flora can be positively correlated with things like depression and anxiety. All right, so there is some effect that these germs have on our behavior. Still don't get it. I mean, we just discovered it. We just discovered this. Right? So as much as everybody's like, there's nothing new, there's plenty to discover. We're just fucking babies when it comes to understanding the human body, biology, any of this shit. Just fucking, I mean, as much as we know enough. We know a lot to at least, vaccinate ourselves and do stuff. But at the same time, we know very little, okay? In fact, there are more microbes on a single human being than there are human beings on the planet, or who have ever lived, actually. I think that's the actual number. Something like billions, right? It's like there's more microbes on you, the single person, than there have ever been human beings that ever existed. Okay? So, who's in charge then? Who's really in charge here? They control our behavior. There's more of them than us. They drive life. They drive DNA, the very thing that's supposed to be giving us the instinct to go survive, fuck, and eat, do all that stuff. That microbes. Microbes are driving that, okay? So who's really in charge? All right? Are we just vehicles for these microbes? Are the microbes really dictating everything that's going on? Even this podcast, the internet, the fact that, just whatever, all of it. The fact that we have dogs, all of it is driven, perhaps, by the influence of microbes. And it's not like the microbes themselves are like people. See? We have a tendency to anthropomorphize, turn things into people because we're just fucking dumb. I mean, I think that's just what it is. I think it's just a limitation of our cognition, right? Like you look at a socket in the wall, an electric socket, and you can't help but to see a face. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, I think it's hardwired into our brain. I mean, so it's not the fact that the microbes are like, hey, we're doing this, or let's make sure that we crash Apple stock, or they don't give a fuck. It's randomness, a lot of randomness, and it's trial and error, a lot of behavior over time. And that's the thing that's hard to imagine because we live in such short time scales, like 100 years at a time, and we're talking about, over millions of years, over hundreds of years, thousands of years, developing things, and we're just kind of at the whim of it, at the whim of chaos, the whim of randomness. That's why it makes so much more sense, so much more sense to believe in God, or believe that there's a conspiracy, or believe that there's some explanation, some story, some reason why this is happening, not just chaos and random, not just random recombination of things and a series of events and coincidences that lead to this. It can't possibly be that. Does that mean nobody knows anything and nobody has any control of anything and anything can happen at any time? Like a goddamn asteroid could just fall out of the sky and kill us? Yeah. But anyways, unless you believe in flat Earth, I guess that's comforting as well. So let's talk about this here virus, okay? If you go to a couple episodes ago, I was going on about the bat eating because there's plenty of scientific evidence. I found even more papers. Now I've found at least 4 scientific papers, okay, all talking about warning the public about the presence of SARS coronavirus inside bats, okay, and how the last SARS epidemic broke out because of a bat. Somehow bat infected a civet, and the civet infected the humans, and that's where it got out, and they were like, hey, we should stop eating bats. Anyways, so yes, the SARS coronavirus 2 is also found in bats, guys. This coronavirus is very similar to a virus in a bat. Now, what the fuck is up with bats? Why are bats so dirty? Are they dirty? What the fuck is up with them? So, here's what I learned about bats. Yes, they're gross, but they fly. Because they fly, they have a very high rate of inflammation. because they're flying, it's like their muscles are always burning. It's constant repair, breaking down and repair, and they can't be like humans where you gotta rest, have an off day. You know what I'm saying? Bats don't rest, so their immune system, their inflammatory system, it's all just jacked up. So that means all kinds of crazy viruses living inside them, and don't fuck them up because their immune system is so strong. The viruses are just there, and that's actually the way these microbes work. If you've ever had a cold, you didn't get rid of the cold. Your immune system is keeping it managed. Okay? If you get reinfected, your immune system could flare up, right? It might have antibodies because it fought off a cold before, but it might not because it could be a new variant of the virus. So you get sick again until the body builds up antibodies and figures out what to do. And that's basically what getting sick is. Getting sick is actually the immune response, right? So getting sick is body trying to fight off the virus. And sometimes what happens is the body starts fighting itself. Right? That's what's happening now with COVID-19. Like that's the final stages of COVID-19 is the virus is in your lungs. You're getting pneumonia because it's attacking. Not only is the virus attacking the cells in your lungs that Asian males, by the way, have a high propensity of. They have the most, Asian males in general, and then Asian males in particular have the most of these particular cells that the coronavirus attacks. But then once the coronavirus attacks it, your body sends off something called a cytokine storm. And it's just a storm of events that creates the pneumonia and the death. So anyways, bats. Bats got that. That's what bats got. But they don't get sick from it because their immune systems are so strong. They're very robust immune systems for being flying animals and so dirty. And they also travel very far so they can spread these viruses here and there. And they're just really gross, guys. All right. Now there's a new paper that came out that shows that the SARS coronavirus is also present in pangolins, though it isn't necessarily the bat variety. So here's the weird thing. So the bat variety of this coronavirus is incredibly viral, right? Viral. It's fucking strong, right? But the virus itself couldn't jump directly to humans because it just didn't have a code, right? It doesn't quite have the code, but does have a code to the pangolin and the civet. So the virus mutated in a way to be able to hack into the pangolin code. And here's the thing about pangolins. Pangolins have viruses that are similar to human viruses. So that's the jump. Bat to pangolin. Inside the pangolin got infected, but somehow the virus mutated, combined with a snippet of RNA from a native pangolin virus that's close to a human virus, and lo and behold, you have a novel coronavirus that goes from bat to pangolin to human. And so, you know what? Yeah, I know. People are going to be like, well, then shouldn't we stop the pangolin eating? Because pangolin is supposedly a huge delicacy. Shouldn't we stop it? Yeah, we should stop the pangolin. But here's the thing. If bats weren't on the menu, guys, none of this would happen. All right? It's the bat. It's still the bat. It's the bat, you see. The bat to the pangolin. The bat to the civet. The bat. Straight to humans also for Ebola. Like the bat. Stop eating bats. All right. Now here's the thing. The wet markets, right? I think we have a very... we have little understanding of the wet markets. And I think a lot of ignorance, some racism, all of it comes into it. There's a lot of people being like, don't say that Chinese people are eating bats. That's racist. You're making it gross. And here's the thing. Meanwhile, Chinese people are like, no, they eat bats, dude. Other Asian people are like, yeah, they fucking do it. The reason why it's not racist is because it's not because they're Chinese that they're eating the bats. It has nothing to do with their race. It's just because they're in China and it's a cool thing to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like with Americans and guns. It's not because you're American that you love guns, have something, or hate guns or whatever. This whole thing with guns, or race. You know what I mean? It's not because we're racially, there's not something about being American that makes us particularly hypersensitive to race, overly racial. It's the circumstances, the history, the context, right? They did. Again, fundamental attribution error. It isn't like some immutable part of our character. It's the fact that it's our culture. Just like war. America used to be notoriously isolationist. We never went to war. You know, this whole going to war thing is a relatively new thing from the last century, right? Now we're at 7. We war like a motherfucker. We don't care about war. War is fine. We're doing war now. We're having guns, butter, and a pandemic. We don't give a fuck, right? It's all culture, man. That changed, right? So that's the thing. Wet markets, it's a cultural thing, not a Chinese cultural thing. This is a very particular Southern China thing. The other thing is like, oh, these people, you know, we're fucking shitting on these people for eating bats, but they're poor, they can't afford to, you know, eat anything else. But no, guys. Poor people aren't eating at the wet markets. That bat is expensive. Pangolin is expensive, guys. This is some top dollar shit. If you want to eat a bat, you can't just be some poor peasant. You gotta fucking have some dough. You know what I'm saying? The wet markets, the bat eating, all that shit, it's actually a thing of the elite. It's like a status thing. It's a status thing. It's like, you know, Tiger King and the people taking their pictures with the tigers or whatever in China. It's fucking eating a bat, right? That's fucking. It's rich people do this. It's a rich. It's driven by the rich. Okay, it's driven by the elite. That's why. It's also unlikely that even if they outlaw them, even if fucking wet markets are outlawed, there's gonna be underground ones. There's gonna be black market ones because there's money. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry apparently. They fucking love to eat those bats. It's not just bats. Just type in Huanan, Huanan seafood market, because this is the wet market that is sort of the epicenter of the breakout in Wuhan. Look at their menu. Look at their menu. I shit you not. Bat is just one of many things on top of civet and pangolin and alligator and blah blah blah. I mean, just like name a random animal and it's on there. Koala. I mean, it's fucking on there. It's on there. This is a rich person thing. That's why now I have zero sympathy. Now I'm like, you know what? Fucking stop it. Okay, that's why I don't have any. I'm not gonna tiptoe around. There's no racial sensitivities. There's no cultural sensitivities. This is something that rich douchebags are doing. Okay, and so I think it's our job as people to stop rich douchebags from trying to destroy the planet, whether it's through the environment or through a pandemic. Okay, guys. So look, I mentioned the Taiwan. Yeah, the Taiwan. Taiwan tried to warn everybody about the germs, human to human contact. CCP blocked that. CCP blocked a bunch of whistleblowers who try to alert the world that this shit is coming. It shit is kind of spreading, and it's probably spread. Fucking, silence those guys too. Of course, the CCP has now since recanted and was like, "Hey, that guy. All right, he wasn't. He was good. He was right. He was right. He's dead." The guy who died, the doctor who died, who was suppressed, was not allowed to tell the world. Taiwan, who was suppressed, who wasn't allowed, who didn't get to tell the World Health Organization about the dangers of human-to-human transmission because of politics, right? Whatever the fuck is going on now in the States, where no one can get their shit together, like except for I guess random, mayors, governors. I mean, truly, it is up to the local governments. I mean, honestly, I think if anything, maybe the good thing will be people will lose all faith in the federal government and put more of their faith into the local government and put more scrutiny into who the fuck is your mayor and sheriff, huh? Who cares about Trump? Who's fucking running the shit in the town you're in? Because they're the ones who are going to become warlords while this pandemic is going on. They're going to be grabbing power. They're grabbing power like a motherfucker. I mean, who wouldn't? Crisis and opportunity, right? The whole thing. Take that opportunity. Take that power. And you know what though? I'm sure I have faith that our leaders will relinquish their power once this is all over. Just like they did with the TSA, right? Just like we saw how like with the TSA they were like, we don't need to do this anymore. Here you go, guys. It's been proven it doesn't work. Here you go, guys. Yeah. Anyways, so I guess I'm gonna wrap it up here. They all suck, okay? That's to sum it up. They all suck. Right? Don't get caught up in the conflict. Don't get caught up in the information war, in the propaganda. Don't get caught up in being distracted from what this is. This is biological warfare. This is a real war. Yes, there's an information war, there's a political war, there's a geopolitical war, there's a fucking human war, okay? But underneath all of that, you gotta understand it's the microbes, okay? You gotta understand that on a microbial level, we may be influenced more than we think, and that the true nature of this conflict is at the microbial level. And perhaps this is a time for the fucking world to unite, get over their dumbass differences, and fucking and do something, right? Listen, it's not a good sign when half this fucking country thinks that the only way Trump could do a good job is if he just shot himself in the face. You know what I'm saying? It's not good. There's people in this country who, if they were given a chance between saving humanity and working with Trump, they would rather watch the world burn. Okay? And think about that. Is that what you really want? Is it really that bad that you want people to just fucking die and everything to just crash just because you hate this guy and don't want to work with him? I think you're as hateful. Okay? The people who are that intolerant are just as hateful to me as Trump because you're basically being Trump. You are Trump at that point. You're acting like him. Okay? So, congratulations. You are the thing you hate. Okay? That's the thing. It's Native American, little Native American saying. Okay? You can neither love nor hate anything unless you see yourself in it. Right? Same thing with Trump. You know, Trump is us. We are Trump. That's why. That's why. That's why people hate him. That's why we love him. That's why we hate him. That's why it is what it is. I don't. I think it's all fucking dumb. It's all bullshit, guys. The people. People's what matter. People's what matter. People are what gonna die. People are the ones dying. People are the ones suffering. People are the ones that are gonna get us out of this. So, team people, right? Fuck the viruses. Fuck the politics. Fuck it all. People. That's what it's all about. Alright, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Again, to the Rojan Kidcast. I appreciate you. I appreciate your ear balls. I appreciate the time you're giving me. Thank you so much. Trying to update these podcasts 3 times a week now, so hopefully you're tuning in. Alright? So thank you so much for listening. Follow me out there on Stitcher. Subscribe. Stitcher. Spotify. Apple. Google. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Go to RojanKim.com. Go to YouTube. Find Rojan Kim. Find me out there. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.